Hey, what's happening, guys? This is Jerry at Wealth Dynamics. Welcome to our Friday night wealth creation course. We're focusing again on some staff training. So we're going to start things out with a real quick video from Uncle G, Grant Cardone, and we're going to go ahead and get that. Lex, you want to grab the lights really quick?
You want to make a difference, you got to push. You got to stand up. You got to be willing to be hurt and damaged. You're not going to push into the next deal if you're satisfied with where you're at. Build now, enjoy later. Pay the price today so you can pay any price tomorrow. Pay attention to the successes and disregard your losses. If your people are not money motivated, reaching for freedom, not bills, your business cannot grow. Listen to what I'm telling you. You cannot grow your business saving money in the bank. This was your mommy and daddy's economy. Your mommy and daddy said, save your money. How many heard that when you were growing up? Save your money, okay? The last thing you'd want to do today is save money. I made this mistake in my life. What happens when you start worrying about losing something? You don't put it at risk. I should have been rolling that dough. That dough should have been having babies. What is the thing that you used to dream about that's a game changer for you?
All right, guys, so that's Grant Cardone. This is the Wealth Dynamics Wealth Creation course. We do this every Friday. And by the way, this Friday, today, last year is the 1-year anniversary of our course, the first time we ever started. We didn't used to do courses, and we would just basically keep the information only for basically one-on-one sessions with our clients. And so we started doing courses because we started noticing there's a need for it in Anchorage. There's a lot of people here, not just in Anchorage, even on Facebook, Instagram. A lot of people are not going to go out of their way to go talk to someone about personal finances, especially if there's barriers like having to pay for a meeting, going to an office, maybe being seen in public. Like, those are things that basically people refrain from. And the reason being, we were taught 2 things growing up, guys. Don't talk about your money, and don't talk about strangers.
2 strangers.
Don't talk to strangers. Don't talk about your money, don't talk to strangers. And so when you're talking about your finances with a financial person, usually you're talking about your money and you're talking to a stranger, okay? So the course here tonight is to make me not a stranger. And so tonight we're actually going to be focusing on some staff training. We've done this series the last couple of weeks, and I want to give you an inside look at how we train our staff. Tonight we're going to be talking about non-negotiables and how to organize a company. And this isn't just going to apply to a company, so I want to give you an insider thought process here. You organize anything to produce. So this applies to finances, this applies to a marriage, this applies to a household, this applies to anything that you're trying to get into affluence. So we're going to cover policies, how to organize things, and we're going to do it in the context of wealth dynamics and in the context of how to win here. But really, you could take this and go apply it anywhere, okay? So while we're going through this, if you're live tonight, online, I want to thank you for tuning in. We are training our staff. Some of this may not seem applicable to you. That's probably because it's for our staff. If it seems like something you're interested in, I have a couple of intentions here. Okay, so the first one is I want to make sure that you feel comfortable working with us. Okay, if you've not become a client yet, I want to give you an inside look on how we operate so that you can see, all right, this is how the organization runs. Okay, so my first thing is I want you to become a client of ours. Second thing, I want you to refer people to us. Third thing, I want you to somehow join our team, whether that means you're sending us referrals, you're sending in leads, you're helping us market, you become an ambassador, or you straight up join staff and move to Anchorage. Nano did it from Dallas, so I don't doubt you could do it too, okay? So without further ado, I'm going to get my whiteboard pulled up, and we're going to go into the org board here.
Do you need this at all? The
real quick, actually, could we actually pull up the org board?
Yeah.
And I'll grab the lights real quick. Okay, so we're going to talk about the organizing board. So if you've ever been in an organization, a lot of times there's some visual component where they show how the company works, who reports to who. They have in the military, do they have that, Sean?
Yes,
Yeah.
with every facet.
Yeah, so a good organization is going to have that, so you can visually see like who does what, where the particles go, where the people go. And so let me know when it's pulled up, Lexi.
Yep.
So basically, we have the same thing here at Wealth DynamX. It's called the organizing board. For short, we call it the org board. Okay, and so org does not mean organization. Okay, so it's actually a verb, not a noun. Okay, so organizing, it's a board you use to organize with. And so as we're going through this, good call. As we're going through this tonight, I want you to think about this instead of a theory or a concept. I want you to think of it as a tool. Okay, the reason why I don't want you to think of it as a theory or a concept is theories and concepts don't produce anything. Tools do. Okay, so if you're looking at a hammer and a saw and a screw gun and a nail gun, and those are only theories and concepts, and you're trying to build a house, are you going to build one? No, they're just ideas. You're not going to do anything. If they're tools, then you know you can use them. So you put them to work and you go build something. So this is our organizing board, okay? So it's 7 divisions within the company. And so basically, I'm going to go through really quick. We've got Division 7, which is the executive division. You see things like the founder, the executive office, corporate affairs, legal. We have Division 1, which is talent and expansion. So we see things like talent. We see things like reception, communications, ethics. Okay, we have Division 2, which is client sales and marketing. So we have a division that's just focused on promoting to clients. So we have promotion, we have marketing, we have client sales. We have Division 3, which is treasury. So we've got income, disbursements, we've got assets and materials. We have Division 4, which is production. And so this is where we do a lot of our client service. We've got our client service department, client training, wealth creation coaching. Division 5 is quality control. So we've got client performance, personnel development, and then correction. And then Division 6 is branding. We've got branding and promotion. We've got new business, sales, and marketing. And then we have ambassador relationships. Okay, so those are our 7 divisions. Above that, you see different directors. Okay, so we have a director of omnipresence. That person runs, client sales and marketing plus our expansion and our talent division. We've got director of administration. That person runs treasury, production, qualification. And then we've got director of branding. All they do is focus on this 6th division, which is, our promotion, new client acquisition, etc. We have the CEO, and then we've got the founder. Okay. So within a company, you have to have, before you have any divisions, you have to have a valuable final product. Something you're trying to produce and exchange with others. Okay? And there can be a number of different valuable final products. The one we have here is a description of all the valuable final products for each division within our company. Okay? But the main one that we have, that we're exchanging with people, is wealth. Okay? Our valuable final product is wealthy clients. So one of the things we talk about is we want clients who become millionaires. And the reason why is we want them to actually become walking advertisements for Wealth DynamX. Okay? So when somebody's talking to you about life insurance or investing, you have to make sure that you communicate to them the product. Okay, the product is not life insurance. That's just a tool. The tool is the thing we're going to use to get to the product. Okay, and the product is you becoming wealthy. Okay, you gaining financial knowledge, you making more money, keeping more of that money, multiplying it, and then having abundance and prosperity in all areas of your life because you did those things. Okay, so we want to start with that first. And so essentially, the way that this works is the company or an idea starts as an idea. Okay, so this is the department or the division of ideas. This is where the idea started, right? The founder of the company, you think Apple, Steve Jobs had the idea and he stayed on as the executive board, right? They hired him back, fired him, brought him back again. So you get the ideas, okay? So the ideas are generated here from the founders, and then those ideas go through organization, legal, and they become things that actually can be used, okay? So in a company, typically in a smaller company, you're gonna see a lot less time spent there. Okay, in a bigger company, you're gonna have people that are more dedicated to this, that's all they do. Okay, military, there's a lot of that, right? And the reason being is there's a lot of moving components, so they have to make sure everything we do stays within our true idea, stays within our legal confinements, and that it's organized so it actually works, okay? So each one of these divisions also has a valuable final product for itself. Okay, for us, this division here in our company is to build an affluent, scalable, and expanding company. Okay, affluent meaning that we have a lot, we do really well, a lot of sales, a lot of clients, a lot of promotion, we have a lot. Scalable meaning that we can repeat it. Okay, and so that's something that's important. So if you look at affluent, scalable, and then expanding as the final one, if it's scalable, we can grow, we can expand. Okay, we can push past the boundaries we have right now. There's really like limitless expansion or opportunity there. Okay, so that's where the idea starts. Now, in order to get the idea to work, you need people. Okay, so that's where division 1 comes in. So this is actually like the idea transfers over to this division, and now you need people. So we need to recruit, and then we also need to have like people coming in that we're greeting, we're getting them interested in our services. So that's where you see like reception, communications. Okay, and if you got people, you also got problems, so that's why you have ethics. Okay, ethics is correcting and getting people back on track. Okay, so within our company, you have to realize like this is really what this division is focused on, is bringing in new people, making sure they have communication lines within the company, and then making sure that they're staying straight. And the way that we measure that, again, is by stats. Okay, if someone's stats are up, then we don't have to worry about them with ethics. If someone's stats are down, then we do worry about them and have them go visit ethics. Okay, and then we go into sales and marketing. So we've got people, now we've got clients. Okay, and so we take the clients that we have, and this is basically our list. Okay, who's heard of a client relationship manager or a CRM? Okay, so that's basically what we have here. This is the part of the company that manages that database. Okay, so we have a segregation you'll see in a second of new leads versus current clients. So this division, all they do is promote to current clients. Okay, so promotion is good works while published. So we're taking the stuff that we've done a good job at, and we're telling our clients, we do a good job at life insurance. We do a good job at sales training. We do a good job with investments. Here's proof. Here's ideas. Here's information. Okay, that's basically like blanketing with promotion. Then we market. Okay, marketing is when we attach an offer or a price. Okay, so the difference between promotion and marketing, promotion is just, hey, we do a good job at this and I want you to know about that. Okay, and the point of that is to generate interest. So there's a lot of interest generation going on. We're sending out letters, we're sending out postcards, we're sending out emails, I'm doing follow-up calls, okay, to generate interest. Marketing is actually, here's a product, here's a price, let me make you an offer. Okay, and so the marketing, and this is actually where a lot of people today, especially because of social media, they fall apart. They try and market before they promote. Nobody knows who they are, nobody trusts them, nobody likes them yet, nobody agrees with them yet, but they're trying to ask for money. Like, how many times have you guys seen that just on like Facebook? You watch a live stream or something, or you see an ad and you're just like instantly, you're like, I don't know who this guy is. I'm not going to buy from him. I'm sure that happens to me. There's probably people on the live stream right now that are like, I don't know who that guy is. Okay, so that's the difference. Promotion is going to be that initial blanket layer, and then the marketing comes afterwards, okay? Now, that's going to then translate into sales. Okay, so like a good division should have one person here, one person here, one person here, and then one person managing these 3 people. And that's basically like, you know, focusing on all the things that need to happen here. Okay, so an ideal scene would be, all right, so we're promoting to clients, we've got newsletters going out, we've got social media going out, we've got direct mail going out, we've got email going out, and that's generating interest. Maybe we have some phone calls happening, and then the marketing is, all right, let's start getting the client in front of product. Okay, and so we start basically getting them interested in the specifics of the product rather than just the brand. Okay, this is just the brand, now we're talking product. Now this gets them in the door, again, because they're already clients, and then we have them meet with a salesperson that focuses on how do we solidify the next part of the relationship, which is more sales. Okay, and the reason this is important is a company that has people that buy over and over and over have the happiest clients. Think about that. By definition, if they weren't happy, they wouldn't keep buying. So a company that has clients that keep buying means that they're happy. So that's a stat we measure. We look at how many of our clients keep buying things, because that means that we have happy clients, which means we're really good at what we do, we have good service. Okay, so anytime a company has client sales go down, that repeat business goes down, those transactions stop coming a second, a third, or fourth time, that's a sign that their service went down. Okay, so that's going to be division 2. Division 3, we have treasury. Okay, so we have energy, which we consider income. We call it energy because it's a different mindset. When you think about energy, it's easier to transfer and get. Think about income, you're like, oh man, I can't pay my bills. We have disbursements, and then we have records, assets, and materials. Okay, So we have energy. Basically, think about it. We have people, we have clients buying things. When the clients buy things, they have to pay for the things, right? So somebody's got to be in charge of that. How do we make sure the income shows up? Okay, so Treasury handles that. Okay, Department of Energy handles how do we get the income. Okay, the other thing that we do here that's unique that most companies should do, they have an accountant. The accountant doesn't do anything. Okay, the accountant just reads the invoice, bills the invoice, makes sure that the books make sense. Basically a glorified spreadsheet with somebody being in front of it. Okay, and so a good treasury team, they should get the invoice and they should look at what's the upsell. And then the treasury should get on the phone with the client and say, hey, I know you purchased this, but for just this much more, I can upgrade you. I want to know if you'd consider that. Okay, how much more valuable do you think companies would consider their treasury department if that's what was happening? 100%, right? Like that would be unbelievable. And they have the best opportunity. They already have the client's billing info. They already know what the client purchased. They have a communication line with the client. All they got to do is reach out and go for the upsell. Okay, so the roles are important, but the people in the roles are also really important because the wrong person's not going to do that. They're going to have too many considerations. So we have income. The point of income is to get lots of it and get it fast. Then we have disbursements. Okay, so inside of a company, disbursements, that equals expenses. So that means that there's somebody that's planning out, all right, what are we going to spend every week? Okay, how can we cut back on things that aren't needed? How do I approve and disapprove certain expenses? So that's what goes on in that part of the company. Okay, so think about like anytime we need something, we don't just go buy it, we actually submit an order to Lexi. Lexi looks at it and determines, is this fitting our budget? Is it not? Is it important? Is it not? We actually do play the 1 to 5 game as a company. So a proposal comes in for an expense, we look at, is it a 5? Will it produce income? Is it a 4 where it's just necessary for survival? Is it a 3 where it's a maybe? Is it a 2 or a 1? If it's a 3, 2, or a 1, we almost always say no. And then if it's a 4 or 5, we're usually going to do it. Okay? So that's disbursements, and that's how you should run a company from a disbursement or expense standpoint. And then finally, we have records, assets, and material. Ours is unique here as well. So this is like things the company needs to function. Things like pens, clothes, furniture, etc. But the other thing that this turns into as the company expands is acquisitions. Okay, so you have an entire department that's managing the finance of the company. We actually will look at, like, as this thing grows out, there will be a person here that's actively looking at how do we acquire new businesses? How do we acquire new assets? And that's all they do. And they send back a purchase order report to disbursements. Disbursements looks at, all right, we could do this. Is this a 5? Is it a 4? And then we make the decision on whether we buy the asset or not. Okay, and the reason why is one of our goals here for this division is compounding cash flow. Compounding cash flow can't happen unless somebody's there to compound that cash flow. Okay, so that's just within the treasury. Now, next thing we're looking at is production. So production, this is such a big division. So the production division is the actual thing the client bought. Okay, the actual product the client bought. So we have client services. So think about when the work gets paid for, then it comes in to actually be delivered. We have client services. Their job is to make the client happy and experience world-class levels of service. Okay, it's not just to answer the phone, it's not just to get the job done, it's to make sure the client's happy and winning and that they have world-class level of service experience that they're getting. Okay, and we know the difference. Like the best way that I like to relate that to is restaurants. Okay, we've all been to restaurants where they did get the job done, they did give us a meal, but we're not gonna come back. And usually it's like a slight difference, right? Or the difference between tipping a waiter and not tipping a waiter. So that's really the level of service that's happening here, okay? And then we have the client training. So one thing that's unique about our company is we don't just sell a product, we sell training with the product so that the client has an understanding of how the product works and how to use it. Okay, so the training department is focusing on making sure the client is getting through, whether it's DynamX University, it's their books, it's their courses, whatever it might be, but we're making sure the clients have an understanding based on the material and the courses before they get fully involved in the product. Okay, and what you get with that is you get clients that actually have wins because they know how to do the stuff you're teaching them. Okay, like think about just life insurance. Just one thing we do, doing wealth creation banking, putting together sacred accounts. How many other firms out there are going to put you down in front of a book and a course about life insurance to learn about what you just bought? Nobody.
And help you along the way.
And help you along the way. Nobody. We're the only company that does that. So when somebody buys a policy from us, we're going to definitely set the policy up. That's client services. But we're also going to make sure they're educated on how to use the policy. And then we're going to give them coaching to make sure that they actually do use it with the best strategy. So again, this is concept versus tool. We're giving them the concept or the theory, now we're helping them apply. So this is what Nano said, we're helping them use it. We're not just like, here's your policy, talk to you next year so I can read numbers off a piece of paper that you could have read for yourself. That you got in the mail, but I need to seem valuable because they paid me a commission to. Okay, so that's client services. That could be coaching, that could be investing, that could be sacred accounts. And then we move then into qualifications. Okay, so we have client performance. So this is anytime a client's not winning. We've got somebody that literally is looking for the people that aren't winning. That's all they're focused on. Who's not training? Who's not reading books? Who's not submitting scores? Who's not showing up to stuff? Because at some point, something happened that caused them to decide they weren't going to keep going, which means that they're not winning anymore. Okay, now most companies, again, never follow up on this. And this is entirely different than that. Okay, this probably would lead to sales, but that's not the reason we're calling. The reason we're calling is you signed up for Wealth Dynamics U, you were training, and now all I see is zeros. I want to know what happened. And I want to know how I can help. And I want to know what you didn't understand or what you got confused about or what you didn't agree with. And I want to know what problem you're trying to solve so I can help you with that and get you back on track. Okay, that's a whole nother level of client service. Okay, that's like, again, back to the restaurant thing. Someone didn't finish their meal. Imagine the waiter coming out like, hey, I noticed you didn't finish your meal. I want to know what happened. You were eating it. At a certain point, you stopped. If you liked it, the plate would be clean right now and you would have ordered dessert. You didn't do either of those things. That's our fault. What needs to happen now? Where do we go off? How can we fix it? How can we get you back on track? Like, that would just be incredible service, right? I would order the dessert just because of that. Okay, so we have client performance, then we have personnel development. So we've got an entire department dedicated to making sure that our people are top notch. They're studying, they're qualifying on their training, they're going through courses, they're doing everything they need to do to become top grade. Because our guys, when they're here, you don't realize it when you're in the company. It just feels hard when you're in the company. When you leave our company, you instantly regret it. And the other thing you notice is you're too good for the other jobs out there. So like our personnel, like we're trying to get people to the top of the top as far as development goes. Personal development, sales training, product training, organizational training, like all stuff you're never going to get anywhere else. Because they're just paying you $15 an hour or $20 an hour to get your drone task done until they can get somebody cheaper to come in and take it from you. Okay? And then we have finally correction. This is basically when the company screws up. Okay? We're not perfect, we're gonna make mistakes. So when the company screws up, this is the person who takes responsibility, initiates the communication and says, hey, I noticed we screwed up and I wanna fix it. And then they smooth things out and make it right with our clients. So that's what this is, okay? Now, once we've gone through quality control, we can then go to branding. Okay, branding is about distribution. Distribution is expansion. Expansion can't happen without distribution. There's a reason why there's a McDonald's on every single street corner. It's about distribution. They're trying to get new customers, okay? So you have branding. The first thing in here is branding and promotion. Okay, branding, like that's a cattle term. That's literally your brand. You recognize it. That's what we're doing here. So branding is we're basically establishing our identity so people know who we are and what we're about. Okay, and the way we do that is promoting. We do a good job. We want you to know about it. Okay, so that's the promotion. So that's going to be a lot of, outbound contacts. That's going to be a lot of email campaigns. That's going to be a lot of social media. That's going to be a lot of public relations. Operation Reborn, that's actually part of our branding department. Different way to think about it, but that's really the intention behind it. We need to have a nonprofit arm that promotes the good works well published. We co-founded it. It's our training. We're there drilling our scripts. It's a way to promote and get our product and service into the hands of the people that otherwise couldn't use it. Okay, so that's branding, right? So you got branding and promotion. That then leads into new business, sales, and marketing. Okay, all these people do is they generate leads, they call the leads, they set the appointments, they sell the things. New clients, okay? And this is where we're different. So we have a distinction. We do not like or let our new people sell, or not our new people, our Division 6, our branding, our new business salespeople, we don't like or let them sell the clients. And the reason why is, if we do that, we're not going to expand. If we let them focus on what's already there, then we're not going to expand and grow. Okay, and there's a reason in our commission structure, we actually pay these guys more money than we pay these guys, and it's because this is lazy work. This is easy. Anybody can ask someone if they want seconds. We already did the marketing. We already spent the money. We already did all of this stuff to get that guy. We don't need you selling to him. Okay, we need you getting more people. Because if we don't have more people, we can't keep going. Okay, think of a restaurant. They're not going to expand if they have the same 10 people every single day that show up. Yes, they'll have a good base income, but they're not going to have any growth. So in order to have growth, you've got to have new people coming in, which means you need to have people exclusively focused on acquiring new clients. Okay, any business that shrinks, that's where it starts. It starts with, we're only going to service our current clients. It starts with, we're not going to go after new people. It starts with call reluctancy. It starts with not wanting to put in the work because we could just upsell somebody. So that's really like where we're at with sales. Then we have ambassador relationships, or ambassador relations. That's going to be our 1099s, affiliates, partners out in the community who want to offer our product or offer our service, but they don't want to actually come work for us. We've got an opportunity where they can plug in and do that. So that's the ambassador relations. And then finally, we have the success department. All that department does is promote success stories. Collect them, promote them, distribute them. And that comes from this. Client performance, you had a win, let's get it here. These guys, client services, you had a win or a good experience, let's send it here. Here, we build, you had a win, let's send it here. Like all of these guys should be sending success stories to this terminal so that job can get done. Okay, so this is the org board. Now basically, like the way that this works is it's a continuous circle. So I want you to think about this, like you see it laid out flat, but it's actually a circle. Idea turns into people, turns into clients, turns into money, turns into work delivered, turns into a good job being done, turns into that being promoted and acquiring new people, which then become staff members, which then become clients, which then give us more money, which then give us more service, which then become good experiences, which then become more distribution, and it just continues to go around and around and around. Okay, a good company is going to go around and around and around, and they're going to keep on doing it like at a more smooth rate, which causes them to speed up. The less resistance, the faster you go. And it's going to continue cycling, and then that's going to lead to expansion. Okay, anytime that cycle slows down, it means that somehow the work didn't get orchestrated in the right order. Or somebody kept the work. Okay, so think about like who's been backlogged. We've all been backlogged on work. Okay, so I get work, shows up on my plate, boom. Got to enter them in the CRM, but I'm really busy. So I don't. And they sit there in my inbox, and they sit there and they sit there and they sit there, and they're not being promoted to, and they're not being marketed to, which means they didn't buy anything, and now our income statement's down. And we didn't have more work in the pipeline to deliver, so now our coaches aren't busy. Which means that we're not doing a good job servicing our clients, so we're not getting successes, we're not even getting complaints, we're just getting nothing. And that turns into there's nothing to promote because nothing happens, there's no distribution, we can't get new clients, and because we can't get new clients, we didn't get new staff, we didn't have anyone else promoting, and it just continues to go in a downward spiral. And it gets worse and worse and worse. Okay, so anytime stats start going down, either something happened out of order or somebody kept the work. Okay, and this translates into basically energy levels of people. Okay, so you have certain people in just life really, but on our team, you get certain people at certain times, really high energy ones, you give them something, bam, they run with it. Okay, you give them something difficult, they're like, I love that challenge, that's gonna be difficult, I'm gonna do it anyways, and then they run with it and get it done. You get other people where you throw something at them, and they do it, but they don't do it too fast because they don't want to overdo it, and they're not being paid quite that much, so they just do what they think is expected. No more, no less, unless you tell them they're not going to. So that slows the work down a little bit. You have other people, you give them something to do, and they just get distracted. They can't finish anything. You give them a new client, doesn't go in the CRM because something came up and they did that instead. Or you give them a new lead, they don't call the new lead because something interesting happened and they go and do that instead. Okay, some people you give them the work and they get pissed off. They almost swat the work away. You give them a job and they start giving you attitude. Probably happens all the time in the military, right?
Yes.
Okay, like that's people you're gonna deal with. You give them a job and they're not angry, but you can tell they're not happy you just gave them work.
You ask them what they're doing there.
Yeah,
Why are you here?
They're sarcastic, bad attitude, negative. Okay, and then you have other people that they would blow up at you. And then there's other people that'll tell you, you give them the job and they'll tell you, oh, I'm totally gonna do it, I'm on board, I'm interested, let's get this done, and then you leave and then they turn around and purposefully don't do any of the things they said they would. Okay, those are most of the people you're gonna see in a company. Okay, those are the different scales of energy you're dealing with, and that's going to also affect the org board. So that's why, like, we have ethics based on stats. We're going to detect the wrong people and pull them out right away. Okay, the stats program is vital for us. That's a big deal. Okay, so you have that cycle going on and on and on. And basically, the thing you want to look at is these are all specific things that have to be done in order to succeed, and all of those specific things need a person. Okay, so if you think of the task as the what, all of the whats need a who. Okay, so when you're like, man, this needs to happen, well, somebody needs to do it. It's not just like it needs to happen. It's all right, well, is this my job? Is this someone else's job? And so we put this up in our company so that all of our staff can instantly determine, all right, contract came through. Let's say contract came through, new business sales, and it needs to go in the CRM. I sold the contract, I'm in new business sales, so I know that that's not my job, but I can click on this button right here and see that this is this guy's job. So I'm gonna send it to him. I don't need to ask anybody, I can just click and find out who do I send this to, and boom, right over there. Or a client gives me money. Client gives me money, let's say right here. I don't need to tell this guy that the client gave me money. I can just be like, oh, that goes to these people. So I send it to them. Okay, now this guy is not bothered, and this guy is really happy because they got money. So it takes a lot of the guesswork out, but it's something you've got to study and take the time. Like actually figure out, all right, what's mine? That's the first thing that you figure out, what's mine? Okay, because you can just like be like, I don't know any of this. A lot of times that's what a natural state is. This is new, I've never seen it, so I don't know any of it, so I'm not going to do anything with it, and I'm just going to look at it and be like, I don't know, and then I'm not going to confront it, and then I'll look at it, I still don't know, and then I'm not going to do it. Go to yours, click the button, go ahead and click the button. So if I'm in new business sales like Nano, that's really bright.
I know, I can't see that better.
Is there a way to make the text darker?
I get stuck the way it is. Click on that one.
Which one?
New business sales.
That's you? Okay. Trying to click on it.
Edit. And function. Boom, there's all the things I should do. Generate a prospect. Generate the prospect's contact info. These are all sub-products. This is stuff we talked about last week. Enter the prospect into my database. Contact the prospect. Greet the prospect. State my intention to close. Fact find. Demo. Crowd close. Close. Write up. Fill out contracts. Follow up the contract. Sign the contract. Send the contract to Division 2. And then I start back at the top. And I just keep doing all these things over and over and over and over again. Okay? So that's basically like, all right, now I know my hat. I know my post. And if I study that and just keep on grinding, I'm going to get it. And then I'm going to get competent enough to where I can actually look up and start realizing, all right, well, these are the other people's posts. These are their jobs. And I can start figuring out, like, I'm no longer just a gear. I can see the whole machine moving. I do this part, they do that part, the entire thing moves and functions. And also, I can become really good at identifying why things stopped. So if I know my stuff and I know their stuff and stuff's not working, then I can be like, all right, well, it's not working because this thing over here stopped. And I can actually be like, imagine like being on a team where somebody was that self-responsible for the team that they realized that this person maybe clear on the other side of the org board stopped doing their job, and they go fix that person. Without the manager ever having to get involved, they're just like, hey, your stat stopped. That affects me because ultimately I'm not going to get a new client because you're not doing X, Y, and Z. Let's get this fixed. That's a well-functioning team, right? Like that's teamwork, truly. Okay, go ahead and back out. And just go back to the regular org board.
Community policing is what that's called.
Yeah, community policing. And like you're an MP, like how much easier does that make your job?
It depends on what's going on.
Yeah.
Honestly. It's like, for example, if the extreme example, what happened yesterday, if terrorist attacks going on and you don't know where they are, people running away will probably be able to tell you pretty quick.
Yeah.
Some people call it tattling.
Yeah. But if you're committed to the team, tattling is a good thing. If you're not committed to the team, then you're not.
You want to solve the problem at the lowest level anyways, because after it gets past the lowest level, then it's actually like someone gets in trouble.
Yeah.
No one's in trouble at the lowest level, usually.
Yeah. So that's basically like the concept behind this. So the idea is to learn all of this and then basically start looking at, all right, how does this thing work? Where's my role? Where are the roles around me? How do I figure those out? And if I can learn maybe my whole department, then I can learn my whole division. If I can learn my division, I can learn the one next to it. If I can learn the one next to it, I can learn the one next to that. Okay, and that's how you become an executive. Like people talk about in business, and it's crazy. It's just people that don't understand business. Like you guys hear about people that are hating on jobs all the time. Just over broke. You never have an employer. You don't want someone telling you what to do. That's because they started, down here, and they never took responsibility for working their way up. Okay, so they started down here, and they were never like, man, I wonder how I can get to this point. They just like, oh, I don't want a boss. I don't like being responsible. I don't like having to do anything. I don't want to be held accountable. Jobs are bad. Someone that's opportunity-minded, they're going to be like here, and they're going to be like, all right, well, how do I learn about this? How do I learn about that? How do I learn about that? All of a sudden, they're running the entire thing. Now, if they learn about the ones next to it, now they can become an executive or a director. So like think about, especially from an opportunity standpoint and a time standpoint, looking at all this stuff. Okay, there's 21 different positions, 22 different positions just within these. I think there's 29 total positions on this entire board. The solopreneur has to do all 29 jobs. Okay, divide your wage by the amount of time it takes to do that. It's not worth it. You have to be crazy. I'm crazy. Like 8 years ago, I did all 29 jobs, and I was crazy enough to keep doing it. Okay, so someone coming into an opportunity, you can either get underpaid to do 29 jobs because you're nuts and you care that much about independence and freedom, and you're going to pay the price, or if you're like, I just want success, I just want to win. I want to play for a good team, I want to win, I want opportunity. If you come into something like this, you run part of an existing thing. You join a winning team that's already there. They've already got leads. They've already got promotion. They've already got established brand. They've already got clients. They've already got revenue. They've already got systems. They've already got an office. Like these are all things that have to be considered. If they've already got all those things, guess what? You don't have to go do. You don't have to go get all those things. They're already there. You just go win. You just do your thing. Okay? Like Nano probably has like real experience with this, just learning that, freaking overwhelming, right? Initially. Imagine that plus 29 other things you gotta learn. Ultimately what happens is the business fails. And if it doesn't, like it was like a small percentage chance that you got struck by lightning, or you had a lot of help. Okay? Or you had the right information too. That's the other thing. If you have the wrong information, this wouldn't even be possible. Okay? So that's basically the org board function. And every single one of these, when we clicked on that one, that whole list of sub-products comes up. Every single one of these has that. Every single one of these posts has a sub-product list embedded in it. It'll tell you exactly how to run that post. Okay, and the other thing that's beautiful is if you're an established teammate or you're an established company and someone leaves, anybody can come in and take over the job. You already know where they fit, you already know what they do. We've seen this happen with a couple of our vendors. Someone leaves. We've had certain vendors, when someone leaves, the whole show falls apart. Company doesn't function well anymore. We stop doing business with them. We've got other vendors, someone leaves, and you're like, all right, I can tell they're gone because the style is different, but the same exact product comes out. It's like no one ever left. Okay, that puts a company in a position to expand, and it takes a team out of a position of risk and liability. Okay, so it's important to understand this. Now, like I said, this could be applied to anything, okay? You have an idea, you're gonna need some people to actually help with the idea, you're gonna need some people that sign up for the idea, you're gonna need to collect income to fund the idea, you're gonna need to deliver services to actually justify charging for the idea, you're gonna need to make sure the service went well, and then you're gonna need to distribute it, grow it, and actually build the brand out. That could be a family. You could literally organize a family on this. You could organize a church on this. You could organize a school. You could organize a government. Like whatever your thing is, you could organize it on that. And it comes down to understanding there's certain things that have to happen, and there's people that have to run those things and make them happen. Those people have to know what they're doing. Those people have to know what order they're doing it in. Those people have to know who's doing the other stuff and how to communicate with them. Okay, and anytime that breaks, it really does come from a lack of understanding of oneself and one's surroundings. Okay, if I'm ultimately slowing down, maybe I'm getting that backlog going on, there's something I don't understand about my job, or there's something I don't understand about someone else's job that's directly involved in my job that's causing that to happen. Then it's like, all right, what do I need to study on here? What do I need to figure out? But when this thing's beefed up and running, like I said, it's ultimate expansion. Like that's how fast can you go? How many people can you get? Okay, now with like a starting out company, I know I'm hitting a lot here. When a company's starting out, the most important three to start with is this, this, and this. Okay, so like most companies, like I can even think of clients I know where they started, everyone typically starts with this. Okay, a lot of times people start, they were good at the thing. They were good at selling life insurance, or they were a really good personal trainer, or they were a great chef. They were good at delivering the product. So they start delivering the product, and they're doing a little bit of everything. They start delivering the product, they maybe have some people coming in and helping, they're promoting, they're doing all of the stuff, and they make the mistake of, all right, I need to hire another one of these guys now. Well, now they've got to manage this guy who's worse than they are, and slower than they are. Because if he was better, he wouldn't come work for them. So they're like, man, I'm focusing on this guy. Now they're not doing as much of this. They're not doing as much of this. So you really have to look at, all right, when I'm starting and doing everything. And my first hire, I'm probably going to hire an assistant to help me out a little bit. And I'm looking initially for these guys. How do I get somebody that's competent enough and has enough like desire and push to help me run the other departments in the company, the other divisions in the company? So that's why like who's been in like multi-level marketing where there's a giant team but no one produces? Anyone seen that? It's because they're not getting these key players. Okay, they're getting all of the lower level guys, but they're not getting anyone that's top producing. They spend all their time trying to motivate. So when you're pulling out these guys, these are guys that you don't have to motivate. You never have to get them excited. You don't have to tell them to do their job. You don't have to clean up after them in a negative way. Like you might have to clean up after them because they're too aggressive. I'd rather clean that mess than so-and-so didn't do this again. Or this didn't get finished. Like those are different types of problems. But like, who's read? You guys have all read Relentless by Tim Grover?
Not yet.
These are your
Listen to it.
cleaners. You're looking for cleaners. You're looking for people that are just freaks. Because if you can get them in, the rest of this comes together really easy. Okay, and so like as a business, you're looking for those key people initially. You don't hire everybody. You look for like, think about the Marine Corps. Think about SEALs. Like you're looking for the freaking best of the best. When you have those guys, then you can start building out the rest of the company because they'll help. But if you put the wrong person here, you know, if I'm running this and I hire the wrong dude here, and the first 2 weeks it's going well, but then I find out that the billing is not happening on time and the product's not getting delivered, that's going to affect this, right? Eventually word's going to get out, hey, these guys charge for something, they don't deliver it on time, they bill you 3 weeks after you sign up, and then new clients are going to stop wanting to come in. Okay, so I would rather, like think about it from this standpoint, you would rather do it yourself than have an idiot do it. Have the wrong person doing that role. Like, incompetence is worse than busy. Incompetence is worse than just like overboard with work. Okay, because a competent, busy person, they're going to figure it out. An idiot's not. Like, that's the reason they're called an idiot. They're not going to figure it out. They have a proven track record of not figuring things out. Okay? So that's really like where you start. And then you basically, like I mentioned, this is a cycle, right? A circle. You hire in that same circle. It's a conveyor belt. You think about where's the work going to go next, and let's make sure there's somebody there to catch it when it gets there. And you continue doing that over and over and over and filling that circle out. Okay? Now, a good company, they're going to focus probably the most intently on this from like a training standpoint. Their service should be flawless. Okay, so like one of the things that we see a lot in Alaska is polarized. We either have people that do only this and not the other stuff. They're really good practitioners, but they don't have a business. Or we see people that have a business, and these guys freaking suck. They will literally hire a toothpick that they found on the sidewalk because it passed their test, and they can put it on there and basically tell the client somebody's there. This has to be like, for us especially, like this is something we focus on big time. If someone's gonna be a coach, like we're gonna pour training into them, we're gonna have high expectations. Okay, if they're gonna help with client services, same thing. If they're gonna help with client training, like think about client training. We have a department like dedicated to making sure our clients finish books, get done with training. Okay, well, this person, what if they're the guy that doesn't show up to work on time? Are they really going to make sure your client finished the book? No, they're going to feel weird calling your client out on anything because they don't have ethics. They don't get it done themselves. So you're looking at delivery of service, like this has to be big. And then one thing that's beneficial on this is especially, like let's take the life insurance part of the business, and you'll start seeing this more and more, Nano. Most life insurance companies, they take this entire side and they lump it into one job. You're a 1099, you do your thing, you sell, you service, you do all of it, we don't care. We'll just pay you a commission to sell the insurance, okay? And we'll do the hiring for our company. We're not gonna give that, you don't get any of that, you're 1099. When you sell to them, like they're our client, you can service them, but they're our client. If you leave, they don't come with you. We do the billing, we're gonna handle the premiums, but you're gonna deliver the policy, you're gonna go through the underwriting, you're gonna do all the admin work, you're gonna make sure it goes well. If there's complaints, you handle those, and you still gotta promote the brand and go get new clients. That's most agencies. Okay, like think about like if somebody, think about like you, Nano, or Mike, having to do all of this and Lexi's jobs. How much business do you think you produce? Not very much, right?
You know, you better know what the hell you're doing.
So that's basically like where you segment this off. If you have people only focused on this, they're gonna get really good at that. That's where you start seeing volume. So like you see Grant's team where they talk about these giant contracts that they do. It's because they have guys that are only banging this. Okay, Steve doesn't also do client performance. That's Joseph's job. Joseph isn't trying to sell clients. That's Steve's job. There's no confusion there. Because of that, Steve can close $10, $15 million a year in contracts. And because of that, Joseph can get major training points out of people because that's all Joseph does. Now, if you gave them both the same job and said your job is to make sure the client's trained and you have to sell stuff, I guarantee both of their production would drop in half. Okay, so that's the benefit. This happens with real estate agents too. Anybody that's a 1099 salesperson that's also doing the administration of the business, like we have Mike, right? Our ambassador, Mike. We don't even make Mike do the admin. Mike's a 1099. We're like, Mike, you're still just doing that. We're going to handle all the rest of this. You just send us new people. That makes Mike's job incredibly easy. All he's got to do is nail his sub-products. Promote, get the lead, call the lead, follow up with the lead, set the appointment, attend the appointment, demo, all of that stuff until the business is closed. Over and over and over and over and over again. Okay? So that's kind of what I wanted to hit on this. What questions do you guys have? I know we covered a ton of information. Dano, do you have any major questions?
I'm just thinking here as far as from a standpoint of growth, what would be to find clarity as far as to go from okay, this is what I'm doing now, but this is where I'm striving to go.
Mm-hmm.
What does that represent? What is, what it would look like as far as a skill set and
The way up.
correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a good question. So let's say like you're here. Okay, so this person, if they're like, man, I want to become the public relations executive and run the entire division, or maybe I want to be director of branding and I'm running this entire division and opening other divisions, that means that this person's got to have their job mastered. They need no help, they need no assistance, they're perfect, they're flawless, their production is always up. Like this, you're hitting all-time highs. You're going into power conditions over and over and over. And at that point, like imagine being so good at your job that you start helping Mike with his job. And your production doesn't drop. And Mike's production starts climbing. And then you start helping these people with their job.
There's a similar structure in the military.
Yeah. And it ultimately, like, the guy that's up here that's managing all this, like, the correct way that this happens is not this person says, I'm looking for someone to take over, tell me when you're ready. The right person just takes it. They incrementally start removing their manager from the transaction. They start taking over parts of their job.
Do your boss's job,
Without him
and
telling
his
you, you
boss
have
will
to.
know, and make him the new boss.
Exactly. So basically, like you're looking at, all right, how do I master my thing, get into power? How do I get the people below me better? Because that would be the sign of a good leader, is those that are under you thrive. So how do I do that naturally? And then how do I naturally start taking over the other person's job that's above me? Without them telling me, here's the game plan, I need you to take over my job. I just start taking pieces of it from them. And not in a way where I'm bypassing them, but in a way where they don't even realize I'm doing it. Just things start getting easier and the stats get better. And all of a sudden they realize they don't need to be there anymore. And that's pretty much what that looks like. Okay? So talent is always going to basically take the job from you. Okay, which means that talent wants the job. Okay, there's not an uncertainty. They're like, dude, I want that. That's mine. I'm going to get it. They don't even have to tell you they want it. They don't have to tell you they're going after it. They just do. Stats, right? They got to talk. It's probably not happening. So those are like the indicators. Does that kind of answer your question?
Yes. And then more from a standpoint of we briefly talked about this, expansion in the future, like opening something like in Dallas or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
What would have to be quote unquote mastered for that to occur?
So it depends on how you do an expansion. So you can expand with ambassadors, where you start up a team of 1099s and route the admin work through the existing company.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the quickest way to expand. It's also the cheapest way to expand. So it's kind of like the licensee thing. I'm a licensee with Grant, but all of our stuff ultimately runs back through Miami. We didn't start another Cardone training technologies, versus like Corey did. Corey does have his own. So Corey started his own org board. We're basically here. So like if we were doing something in Dallas, for example, this would be the quickest route. Okay, how do we start planning ambassadors down there and getting clients down there from that? And then ultimately we open up just a sales office.
Okay.
And a lot of like MLMs expand that way. There's not actually like administrative people in the city. That's their home office. But there's a lot of salespeople and recruits.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's one way to do it. The other way to do it, which takes longer and it's more expensive, but it's more permanent, is to expand locationally. Opening up a new McDonald's on the corner, and there is a building and there's real estate and there's people and employees.
Okay.
Okay, and that McDonald's is probably going to last longer than the 1099 guy that's selling McDonald's burgers in the parking lots. The guy got started faster, but he's not going to probably last as long unless he figures out how to build out his own org board with that organization in itself. So does that answer your question?
It does. Yeah, so by, I guess in a sense, either a person would have to run the location, with 20 plus hats, or have people to fulfill those hats along with them.
Right, or just outsource it back to the original office.
Would that be from the permanent side of things, or from the quickest one?
That would be the quickest. So that would be this guy says, all right, I'm going to jump over here and I'm going to sell stuff and just send all the work back to Alaska.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll deliver and fulfill the work, and I'm just going to focus on sales. And, at some point, this guy would get into power.
Mm-hmm.
Then he could start looking at, all right, well, how do I hire a secretary? How do I get my director of omnipresence? How do I get my director of administration? And they might not have to hire all of the stuff, because ultimately there's parts of it they could still route back to the original office,
Mm-hmm.
but they would incrementally start hiring for stuff that didn't make sense as they started seeing the expansion happen.
Okay. What would be the ideal scenario?
It depends on what you're trying to accomplish. So if it's just speed, trying to get somewhere fast and for the sake of just getting to the location, then that's going to be the best route. In my opinion, if it's like longevity and like true expansion companies, they put a location.
Okay.
And it definitely takes longer, because what you're looking at that point is you're sending in almost like another CEO. And that's where, like, when you see big companies expand into an area, they actually like survey the area ahead of time. They figure out the demographics ahead of time. They have the staff like ready to go on hiring paperwork ahead of time. So when they actually drop boots on the ground in the area, they can just snap it in place. They've already got a location. They've already got all of that established. And that's because this machine is funding. That's now an asset. That's another location. That's going to be real estate, which is going to go up in value. That's going to be income from a business. That's going to be new clients. That's going to be more everything. So it's a lot more planned, and it's going to take longer to do it that way, but that's like a solid, as long as you do it right, that's a solid foundation. But if you do that part, like let's say you do that expansion, you do it too early, that's where you see companies fail quick too. They expanded too quick, the overhead was too much, they hired a bunch of staff they couldn't keep, they tried to get prime real estate they couldn't afford, and basically like that's like we're doing that right now, right? Took us 8 years before we finally got a really good office, because we wanted to make sure we didn't jump into something and then crash. So we grinded for 8 years, got everything we needed. I was stupid for 5 years, so really we grinded for 3 years. Okay, and then we expanded into the location we have now, prime real estate. Now we're focused on getting our directors, our staff, all of that stuff in place, but we're doing it from a position of strength. So those are going to be the two main differences.
That answered my question.
Okay. What other questions do you guys have? Anything else? Sean?
Focusing on one spot to make the word should be a specialist in that field. How's that any different from someone being a drone or doing a drone job, I should say?
Yeah, so
That's my question.
ultimately a specialist is going to be doing lots of drone stuff. So think about a Navy SEAL, their drone job.
They practice the same thing
Over
every day
and over
before
and
a
over.
mission.
Exactly. So that's where like a couple things have to be in place. It's really about the attitude of the person. So if the person's engaged, it might be a drone task, but like look at like Bruce Lee doing karate. He did the same. He even says he'd fear more the guy that does one kick 10,000 times than 10,000 kicks one time. And so the guy that does one kick 10,000 times, he's engaged on every single kick. Like he's insane. He loves it. Same kick over and over, but to him it's an art. So that's a personnel question actually. Do you have the right personnel? The right personnel, make it a specialist. The wrong personnel, make it a drone. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the attitude difference. You see someone at McDonald's flipping burgers that's like, man, I don't want to be here. All I do is flip burgers. You see another guy also flipping burgers. He's like, dude, I'm gonna run this place for 5 years. And he does. So that's the biggest thing I would say is the difference between the two. And that's a really good question too, because as you expand out, like if you ever build a company out, that's the kind of thing you want to be thinking with when you hire people. And like if you hire the wrong person, they're gonna hate being stuck on one thing. Doesn't mean they're bad or wrong or anything. It just means it's not the right fit personality wise. This is the wrong personnel in place. So try and identify that ahead of time. Let them know, all right, you're gonna be engaged on just this. And I need you to be excited about it and give it your all every single time, because there's not gonna be a ton of variety if this is your job. Any other questions?
Let's see if Ariane has questions. I don't know where she's on right now. She's on Ring Central or Facebook. Ariane, do you have any questions?
I don't think she's on.
Okay, she's not on.
Okay. Cool. Anything else you guys have for tonight?
No, I don't have anything else.
Awesome, awesome. Well, thank you guys for watching. We'll go ahead and wrap it up here. We will be back next Friday. If you're on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, make sure you like, you share, subscribe. We're here doing this every single week. We love having you tune in. If there's any questions, let us know. You can hit me up on Facebook, Instagram, wherever you want, Twitter. Same thing with Nano and Lexi. Have a great weekend. We'll talk to you guys soon.